5 million people worldwide die from accidental and non-accidental trauma each year. Learn how Stop the Bleed can help save a life. We could all use some financial help. Learn about budgeting, tracking expenses, and how to avoid financial pitfalls. We welcome more than 300 new student doctors in our combined New Mexico and Florida campuses. It's a new era for Burrell, and we're excited for it. Plus, meet Dr. Piccotti. He's one of our newest members at our Florida campus. What advice does he have for our incoming students? All that and much more, so let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the DL Pulse, a podcast about osteopathic medicine, community, and education. I'm your host, Sydney Alvarez. This podcast is brought to you by Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine and sponsored by GECU. Learn how GECU is a credit union that can help you meet your financial goals. Visit gecu.com for more. Now, as we embark on a new academic year, we have much to celebrate together. We are thrilled to officially welcome 108 new student doctors to our brand new campus in Florida and 207 new student doctors to our New Mexico campus. This growth is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our entire community. We also hosted a ribbon cutting ceremony at our new Florida campus to officially open the school. Now here's what a few attendees had to say.
Today is an incredibly exciting day for me. It's our white coat ceremony day. For me, this is like the culmination of years of determination to get to this point, resiliency, just never giving up on my dream and my purpose to be a doctor. So,
the white coat means my journey to heal other people. Ever since I was younger, I wanted to become a physician, and I'm just really excited that I'm getting this opportunity and really excited to move forward, honestly.
And it's finally happening. Friends and family are here. It's just a really exciting day. We may cry a little, but it just feels like all our hard work is paying off, and it's sort of this celebratory moment to where we can say, yes, we did, and here we are. So
Burrell's mission and vision statement of giving back to really aligns with my values because the people here are amazing. I really believe Burrell believes in their students and the community.
That was really exciting, great video. So as you can see, I'm joined now by second year student Dr. Emily Crone, and she is here to tell us about the Emergency Medicine Interest Group and their upcoming training, actually their recent training that they had called Stop the Bleed. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Emily, this is so important, not only from a student's perspective, but also the community. It's knowledge that we should all be aware of. Tell us about Stop the Bleed.
Stop the Bleed is a national initiative brought together by 4 different entities to teach people who are not medically inclined, so the everyday person, how to recognize life-threatening bleeding, how to alert EMS, so the emergency medical system, and how to handle or control life-threatening bleeding.
Now, you know, we were speaking off camera earlier, and I love the way you brought this up. You said it can happen anywhere, anytime, and then you also mentioned, you got a kitchen?
Yes. So it can happen basically anywhere. If you drive a car, you get into a car accident, that can cause life-threatening bleeding. If you have animals in your house, you can't control them all the time.
Right.
Things happen, especially like injuries with cooking can happen, and it's not just for, let's say, like active shooter events.
Right, right. I mean, if you think about a typical household, you know, we all have a kitchen, we have knives, as you mentioned, we have pets, some households have firearms, you know, so it's very important to have some sort of basic knowledge of Stop the Bleed. Share some of that with us.
Yes, so some basic knowledge is to first recognize that there is bleeding happening. So if you come across somebody who is bleeding, you need to look for, is it spurting blood, which could be an arterial bleed, which is very life-threatening. It could also be slow and steady, but not stopping. So you kind of think about it as like in dramatic movies, where like somebody's laying on the ground and there's a pool of blood growing from under them. That could be venous bleeding, which can also be life-threatening due to the large amount of bleeding. And being able to recognize both of those and then taking action. I mean, first of all, we don't want anybody to step into a situation that might be unsafe for themselves. So we call this scene safety. So you need to look around in your surroundings and determine if your scene is safe. If it's safe, then you can proceed forward and help the victim stop the bleed.
So we just had a recent Stop the Bleed event, and you guys were out there with students and community members, helping everyone, absorb and learn this knowledge. You mentioned something to me, and I'm glad you said this, because the first thought that I had was, use a belt and try to, stop the bleed. That's not the case.
So Stop the Bleed does not encourage people to make makeshift tourniquets. We get this question a lot, like, can I use a belt if I don't have a tourniquet on me? We say no. First of all, you're going to waste a lot of time looking for a belt, trying to maybe create a tourniquet, when you could have just done wound packing and direct pressure and called 911.
So let's talk about wound packing. What does that mean for our community members? I know our students and people on the medical side get that, but let's share it with our community members.
So if you think about it, let's say you have major bleeding in like this part of your body.
The main torso area.
Yes. You can't put a tourniquet on that. And let's say you don't even have a tourniquet. You can use this anywhere on the body. If you're thinking about it, it's going to be like a big wound, and then you're going to take any sort of absorbent material, so t-shirts, towels, socks, which are very commonly used, and you're going to stuff that wound to the very bottom of that wound. And you're going to keep stuffing material until you're to the very top, and then you'll put direct pressure on. So if anybody's ever done CPR, it's like you put your hands on top of the wound and you lean your entire body weight on top. So if you've done CPR before, you can't just kind of lean back and try to compress the chest.
Our viewers can see the video that's playing over us right now. So you put some pressure on there.
Yes.
What's the goal here? I know it may sound a little silly the way I say it, we want to stop the bleed, but is the goal to minimize as much and then to get help?
So our first things, we have the ABCs. So A is alert 911. So once you recognize that life-threatening bleeding is happening, call 911. Then we're going to go to B, bleeding. We're going to recognize what type of bleed it is, maybe. And we're going to get them what we call trauma naked. So you take as much clothing off as needed to see if that is the only spot that they are bleeding from. Because sometimes things can hide, right? And then after that, you're going to control. So this would be direct pressure, wound packing, tourniquet use. And while you're doing that, you should be on the phone with the 911 operator. Does
it matter? Is the approach the same no matter where the bleeding is on the body? Say if it's a thigh versus the upper torso, is the approach the same?
The approach is very similar if you don't have a tourniquet. So if you don't have a tourniquet, you're either going to do wound packing with direct pressure or just direct pressure, depending on how shallow or deep it is. If you have a tourniquet, you can use it on arms and legs. However, we caveat that with you're going to go high and tight with the tourniquet, so about 2 inches above the wound, and never over joints. So not on top of knees or elbows.
Okay.
So that should be able to stop the bleed, but if it's not and you don't have a second tourniquet, then we do direct pressure and wound packing on top of that.
What about if it's a minor or child or infant versus an adult or elderly person? Is the approach the same?
No. So children and infants, we just do wound packing and direct pressure. They're very small and the tourniquets don't get very tight and they're not super effective. Now, if let's say like an 8-year-old, they're a little bit bigger, you could definitely use an adult tourniquet on them.
Thank you for this. Emily, can we talk a little bit about you?
Yes.
All right, so Emily, I know that you're a second-year student. Why did you want to become a doctor?
So I have a younger brother, his name's Alec. He's about 6.5 years younger than me, and he was born with Langerhans cell histiocytosis, which is a rare blood disease. His Langerhans cells were attacking his skin. And this led to a lot of him being in the hospital when we were growing up. And I got to see the wonderful care that doctors provided him, and I wanted to be able to give back to that community.
Oh, that's just amazing. Thank you for entering this profession. And I understand that not only do you want to be a doctor, but you want to be a very specific type of doctor. What type of this? I
would like to be an emergency medicine physician, so I want to go into the ER and work as a doctor.
So why the ER?
So I worked in a hospital for 2 years as a patient care technician, so I helped nurses with their day-to-day tasks. And I was on a team called Float Pool. So if you think about it, you have units in the hospital, and when it's understaffed, you are going to basically have a float pool member come in and fill in. So I got to go all over the hospital and see the different types of care, from like ICU to medical surgical, and I really enjoyed my time in the ER.
So, I have to add in, an interesting question here that I think. You hail from Dallas, the Dallas area. What do you think of the West Texas, southern New Mexico region?
I love it. I mean, my mom grew up here, and so did my grandparents. They moved here in the 70s, and I've been visiting Las Cruces ever since, and applying to Burrell was a big draw because I get to be close to my family.
Thank you so much. Can you look at that camera and just let people know if they want more information on Stop the Bleed, how can they get this?
They can visit stopthebleed.org, and they can also contact our organization, becomstopthebleed@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it, and thank you for what you're doing
Thank you so much.
Not only our fellow students, but also for the community. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. We could all use some financial help. Learn about budgeting, tracking expenses, and how to avoid financial pitfalls. Plus, meet Dr. Brett Piccotti. He's one of our newest members at our Florida campus. What advice does he have for our incoming students?
Here's to the unseen late nights, learning curves, and your perseverance. The behind the scenes is where the magic happens. It's where you shape your process and where you don't let anything hold you back. GECU is there to support you through it all with the products and services that you trust, so you can focus on making your own path. Become a member online now at GECU.com.
Your time is now, right here at the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. We have a 99% graduate residency placement and more than 850 physician preceptors, plus a simulation department, gross anatomy, and research labs. We offer Mission Medicine, a community-based learning experience with 2 campus locations, New Mexico and Florida. Go to burrell.edu and apply today. And remember, your time is now.
Hey everybody, welcome back. As you know, here on the DO Pulse, we love to showcase our esteemed faculty. And of course, there's no exception again with our next guest. I'm joined by Dr. Brett Piccotti. Did I say that right?
You got it.
Awesome. And we are in your classroom.
Yeah, we're here.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, so this is the new OMM, or Osteopathic Clinical Skills, or OPP lab here on the Melbourne campus of Burrell College. And yeah, it's still sort of being finished. We're putting the finishing touches on everything, but it's close. So it's exciting to be here, and students are gonna have a great time in this space over the next couple of years.
Hey, for someone who may not know, there's DO, Doctor of Osteopathy. Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So a couple of different ways you can become a physician, right, in the United States of America. There's traditional allopathic, right, which you get an MD after your name when you get the degree, and then there's Doctor of Osteopathy, right, or Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine. You get the DO after your name, which is what I have. And so, basically the schooling is essentially the same. Curriculum is very much the same. They can both become fully licensed physician surgeons in pretty much any specialty that they want nowadays. The difference between DO and MD is that the DO students get an extra, usually at minimum of 200, maybe up to 300 or 400 hours of extra curriculum time in osteopathic principles and practice and osteopathic manipulative treatment.
That additional training, right?
In that additional training. So in the first 2 years of medical school.
I find it completely fascinating how it's like mind-body connectivity, so to speak. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's a very holistic approach, right? Biopsychosocial, right? Mind, body, spirit, and sort of that connection. It's kind of just a different way of looking at a patient as they present and kind of putting it all together. And then the DOs, we kind of emphasize primary care as well, along with that musculoskeletal piece. So Dr.
Piccotti, this is for you guys. How does a student succeed in your class?
In OMM, I think the students are going to love it. It's why I wanted to be a DO partially, and obviously this is my specialty now. So it's near and dear to my heart. But you're going to get to interact with the faculty a lot in the labs here, as well as the lectures. You're going to get to use your hands. You're going to learn an extra skill set, an extra tool to put in your tool bag for the rest of your career, basically. And so if you come here, I want you to show up. I want you to ask questions. I want you to collaborate with the other students. I want you to interact, ask a lot of questions, be prepared, and you'll do really, really well.
Can we talk a little bit about you?
Sure.
All right. So tell me, what inspired you to become a doctor?
Yeah. So I think from the stories that my parents tell me, I kind of wanted to do this from the time I was young. I used to carry around a doctor's kit and try to do exams on my dog. But I guess
how did that go?
I guess I didn't think it went well. But I guess I didn't want to be a vet. I'm allergic to lots of things that shed, so that wasn't going to work. But I come from a family that has some medicine in the background, and just felt like a natural fit. I loved science. I loved clinical medicine. And I realized that early on in medical school, I wanted to use my hands. So it's kind of either a manipulative kind of a thing, or maybe a surgical thing. And the more I did surgery, I realized that wasn't for me. And I loved musculoskeletal medicine and the ability to spend time with patients, use my hands, and help treat them in a way that was different than a lot of other people were doing.
What got you through medical school?
Oh gosh, support system, taking care of yourself, hard work, a lot of dedication, motivation, those kinds of things. I usually tell the students, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, one exam at a time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Don't look too far ahead. Always be focused on those goals down the road, but look at the here and now and get through your coursework. And as long as you're keeping up with it, you'll do fine.
Let's talk about Florida. We're here in our new campus. And when you think about the importance of having a med school in Brevard County, it is making a significant difference to this community. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've been hearing about this soft rumor for a long time of maybe a medical school coming here, and as soon as I heard that, I thought I got to be a part of this. And I just feel blessed and lucky that that's how the world worked, and now I'm here. And I think Burrell is the perfect institution to do that. They've been doing that in New Mexico for a few years now and doing a great job with it. And as you can see, this building's really come together. But there's a distinct need not only in Florida but particularly in this area of Brevard County and the Space Coast, especially like in the primary care fields. We've talked to some of the local health administrators and the health systems here, and this is long overdue as far as I'm concerned. So we need it.
Absolutely. And then going back to what a DO is, because I think sometimes there's some misconceptions, but DOs can go into any specialty. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah, they're going to be fully licensed across the United States. They can be board certified in essentially anything that they want to be now, as long as they pass those exams. So I have colleagues that are psychiatrists, family medicine docs, OMM specialists, radiologists, dermatologists, everything, PM&R docs, surgeons. Right. Anything that they want to do.
The list goes on and on and on. Yeah. We need to wrap things up here, but just final takeaways. I love offering takeaways, so if you can offer just one thing or two things that our students or potential students should remember about coming to your class, about enrolling into med school, what would that be? What's that takeaway?
Yeah, I think work hard, have goals and motivation and dreams, and strive for success. Keep doing the things that you are doing. Ask questions. Be prepared. And I think you're gonna want to come and see us. This is going to be the place to be. At least that's the goal of mine, is to make this the school that everybody wants to go to. And I don't think there's a better place in the country, honestly, to be sitting.
Absolutely.
You got the beach 10 minutes that way. You got the Space Coast here. You got Disney like less than an hour away. So it's going to be great.
Dr. Piccotti, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Truly appreciate your time and your words of wisdom to all of our students and future students.
Yeah. Good luck, everyone.
We'll be right back. We could all use some financial help. Learn about budgeting, tracking expenses, and how to avoid financial pitfalls. This podcast is brought to you by Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, and it's sponsored by Western Summit, LLC, proud supporter of Burrell since our inaugural year.
I got it! I got it! We're going to do that!
Hey everybody, welcome back. We've got some absolutely fantastic information to share with you. We could all use some financial help when it comes to budgeting, tracking expenses, and how to avoid financial pitfalls. As you can see, I am joined by a wonderful person with GECU, Linda Nunes. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. We're so excited to have you guys on here because when it comes to finances, we all need help, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Previous to my role now, I used to be a financial coach. So it helped me to see what our community needed. So it helped me to educate our community on how to manage their money better.
And it doesn't matter if you're an adult, if you're a student doctor, or someone entering the workforce, somebody just entering school, we can all use it.
Absolutely, yes.
So I got a string of questions that I want to share with you, and I want to make sure that we can get to all the questions. So I'm going to kind of, throw these at you, and we kind of want to emphasize certain things as well. But, right off the bat, how do you determine your financial goals when creating a budget?
I would suggest the best thing is that we go with a SMART goal. And it has to be something that is attainable, measurable, and that has an end date. So, for example, you could say you're gonna save money, $1,000 for a vacation for July of 2025.
Okay.
So that's the best way. You have to have a goal and an end date. If not, it'll just carry on and you'll never meet that goal.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So what are the key steps in creating a monthly budget?
The best thing I would suggest is that we start with figuring out your net income and your monthly expenses, and figure out how much of that you have a disposable income. Okay.
Now this is a huge challenge for me, and and maybe for some people too. But tell us about the difference between a need and a want when creating a budget.
Okay, that one's easy.
I need everything. We need everything.
I think we all think like that at times, but a need is the easiest thing. Is something that you absolutely need. Groceries, utilities, a vehicle to move. Those are needs. A want is eating out, going to the movies.
Wait, I gotta eat. So if I gotta eat food, that's a need.
No, it is not a need. A need is buying groceries and eating at home. But you have the opportunity to get a want. You just have to minimize your wants over your needs.
Very, very true. So, next time I'm thinking of making a reservation somewhere, I should maybe, if I want to continue adhering to my budget, maybe I eat at home.
Yes.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Now, what are some effective strategies for tracking your expenses? What would you say?
With technology nowadays, most financial institutions have an app that tracks your expenses. And one of the things I love about the GECU app is that it tracks all your eating out. It tracks your utilities, your fixed expenses, such as like your rent, your car payment, your insurance that usually stays consistent. And then it tracks your other expenses as well, telling you when you're going overboard as your entertainment, your eating out. So it differentiates and kind of reminds you, hey, you're going over that amount, keep under your budget.
So I'm so glad that GCU is here to help our students and our community. Let's talk about how GCU suggests you prioritize saving for the future with your budget.
The reason that we recommend that is because unfortunately things happen. Life happens. And we want to avoid for you to go and take out a loan at a finance company at 100% interest to pay for a flat tire.
Yeah, that interest is going to kill you.
Yeah, you're never going to be able to pay it off. So what we recommend is that you save 10% of your income in a savings account, and that way you create a habit, and it also adds interest, so you have money for when those rainy expenses happen. Then you have that money to cover it, and you're not having to borrow money for it.
Okay, so we talked about that tire that needs repair. How do you factor in emergency situations into your budget?
You should save about 10% of your net income into a savings account for those emergency expenses. So when they do happen, you use that money that you have in your savings for those expenses versus borrowing a loan, finance company, putting it on a high interest credit card.
So let's talk a little bit about debt and how budgeting can help manage debt effectively. Tell me about that.
I think most people forget about those expenses, that the entertainment expenses, contributions, subscriptions. They forget to tie those into
But
their
I want to
budget.
go have fun. I want to go out. I'm in medical school. I need to, let some steam out.
And you should be. You don't want to work just to work. You want to be able to work and enjoy life, but you also have to save some of your income for the savings, and you should maybe apply a portion of your income to an entertainment budget. But only what you save in that income, in that budget, should you be able to use. Because if you exceed that amount, then you're going to start just working just to pay your wants.
Yes, my wants. Yes, that's very, very true. Instead of our needs,
yes.
Right? Okay. So, we kind of mentioned the app earlier, but what are the advantages and disadvantages of using budgeting apps or software?
The advantages for the most part is it tracks everything for you, so it causes you to have less work on your end. And then it categorizes everything for you, so it makes it easier for you to see where your money's going.
So how often should a person be reviewing their budget or readjusting their budget?
The recommendation is 30 days because most of your expenses are paid once a month.
Okay.
So your utilities, your house, subscriptions are usually paid once a month, so that's why it's best to do it every 30 days.
Awesome. Now, what are some common budgeting mistakes to avoid? I know that could be challenging. I mean, what if you're just not good with numbers?
And that's a great question. The good thing about it is GECU offers free financial counseling, and we offer it in person, over the phone, or virtual. So we can help you with that and help you manage your money better and see, because a lot of people don't realize where most of their expenses are going to. So subscriptions, donations, they don't take account of that. And when we show you, we print out your credit report and we show you all your expenses and where your money, people get shocked to see it in paper and black and white, where that they don't realize that they're spending $400 to $600 a month in eating out. When before, when they used to eat at home, they used to spend $300 in groceries.
Oh my gosh. So that's a lot of information. I want you to look at this camera right here, and I want you to tell everybody, give me a takeaway. What are some of the things that, you would want them to walk away with from this conversation? What would you say?
Our recommendation is that anybody can budget. It is not something hard to do, and the best thing to do is to start now. The sooner you start, the better advanced you become, and it becomes a habit, and it's easier for you to do in the long run.
Now, all this information can be found with GECU. Tell me about this.
Yes, this information can be found on our website on GECU.com. We do have a free financial tools as well as online financial education for anybody to access. That's available 24 hours a day.
Linda, I'm just very excited because GECU is one of our official financial partners, and our students, our faculty, our staff, and of course the general public, we all need this information. So it's just such a pleasure to have you guys on and really sharing your financial expertise. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
We hope to impact our community.
Oh, absolutely. And if people want information aside from your website, can they follow you guys on social media?
Yes.
What's your handle?
You can follow us at www.gecu.com or at mygecu.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sydney. Thank you for having us.
So that's our show. If you have any questions or concerns or story ideas about this program, you can send us an email. Our email is communications@burrell.edu. We would love to hear from you. You can also follow us on our social media channels. Our handle is @Burrell College. I'd love to hear from you as well. I'm Sydney Alvarez. I'm your host. Thank you for watching, and until next time.